Hey guys, so today I wanted to jump on and try something a bit different and do a little bit of a general reading. I really have no idea where this is going to go and what's going to come in, but I thought I'd give it a bit of a go and just kind of see what comes in for general collective reading. So, I'm still playing with this camera setup. I haven't quite got it how I want it. I think I'm going to have to invest in a different tripod that kind of gives more of an overview, sort of from the top down, rather than this kind of sideways. But if it works for you, that's all that matters. Alrighty, so I'm just going to ask for general collective reading. And I get the feeling we might do kind of a bit of all areas of life for people who are kind of watching this at the moment. So I'm just going to get a clear indication for what's going on for general collective. Okay. Once. All right. So starting off with this spread, the first card that popped out obviously was this one in the middle. I kind of feel like when I'm looking at this, it feels like that there's been a hell of a lot of giving and not necessarily a lot of receiving coming back. So you might have found that in the last 3-4 months, particularly, that you've kind of gone a bit inward. You've pulled back. So whereas to a situation, to people, you've been giving. I feel like you've started to realize that the balance wasn't there, that you weren't receiving back in the same amount as what you were putting in. And rather than maybe voicing that, you've actually started to give less. Now, the problem with this is when we start to give less, what happens is we actually start not being our authentic selves. We start actually being more pessimistic, being more focused on what we're not getting, and being more ready to find problems, to find things to be pissed off at. So for example, you know, if you've realized that you're the one always putting in the text messages, you're the one always instigating to catch up, you might have stopped doing that and waiting for them to message or to connect or to ask to catch up. And when they don't, you're expecting them not to. And then when they don't, that confirms your expectation. So you're kind of in this cycle where you're really actually creating a lot of this negative kind of stuff that's showing up. What's important for you is to remain in the space of the energy of what you want to create and what you want to desire, what you desire. It's a hard thing to do, particularly when you're in a situation where you know you don't want to be used, you don't want to be abused, you don't want to be taken for granted. But you also need to stand up, knowing your self-worth and knowing, you know, that you deserve better. But really, in essence, both parties, both people deserve better. So it's what's important is to pull back and go, okay, rather than starting to shut down and give less, in what way can I stay in my authentic power? In what way can I not start to pull back? What way can I actually get more by not having to give less? And I feel like that's kind of the lesson that we're being taught at the moment. So working through that, it's not an easy thing, it's not going to happen overnight, but I do feel like that's where the general collective is at the moment. I do feel like this is to do with family and relationship space more so than business space, because the energy that I get when I look in the workspace is more wistful thinking, things moving on for the better. You may have been going through some rough sort of times of recently with workspace, a bit of uncertainty, a bit of kind of treading the water, so to speak. But I do feel like that workspace is starting to come into things being much clearer, and you're going to be able to make better decisions based on what you know and what you see to be true, rather than expectations, ideas, possibilities. So I don't feel like this is to do with work, what we've just talked about. I actually feel like it's to do with family and relationship space. So when I'm looking particularly in relationship space, it's interesting because the card that's popping in here is very much about, you know, normally happiness, sharing, successful relationship, you know, a feast or famine, like lots of people to choose from kind of thing. But the fact is this card's come in reverse. And so really you might be finding that you think that there's only one person, that you believe there's only one person for you. And what I want to say about this is what's super important for you to remember is, yes, that may be true. The person that you're thinking about or that you're wishing for or that you're connected with may be the person. But you must go back and focus on the energy of what you want, so that regardless if it's that person or not, it's the energy that you are manifesting. It's the type of relationship, the type of connection that you are manifesting, rather than focusing on just that person, because maybe that person isn't able to give you what you desire, what you need, what you're trying to attract. And by focusing just on them, you're actually blocking possibilities of other potential partners coming in. So I feel like that what's really important at the moment is to start focusing on, where do you feel like you're in lack and you're giving more and receiving less? How can you bring that back more into balance? Not by giving less in repercussion, but continually giving more, but maybe not expecting more back. And maybe it's in the giving more where you're not expecting more that balance can start to come in, because maybe the person is afraid that they can't give you more. Maybe the person is afraid that they're not good enough. Maybe the person has things to deal with. And it's interesting because the Three of Swords comes in the future position, which is the next sort of 2, 3, 4 months usually, but I'm getting it's the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. This card signifies a third party, a karmic relationship, a connection. It can be family interfering. It can be a partner, a previous relationship or a current relationship that's blocking. And like I'm hearing the word entrapment. So whatever this is, this person can't give you what you need at the moment. So there's no point giving less. That's just going to contribute to them staying where they are and staying in lack. So I feel like this is about turning the corner, starting to focus on you, bring the attention and the energy back to you, continually giving, not just to this person, but to all areas of life, so that you can actually be in the energy of receiving, in the energy of getting back what it is that you actually deserve. What I love about this particular card is really it's about celebration. It does, when it's upright, also depict reunion, a coming back together, a connection. So I do feel like that this is very much about a divine masculine, divine feminine kind of space, relationship. You may be going through a twin flame kind of connection where you're in separation, but I do feel like this card signifies reunion. And I do feel like I know a lot of people don't really want to talk about time frames and things like that, but what I get with this card is that within the next 3 to 4 weeks you will see some sign of moving forward within this connection. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you will be in relationship with this person, but it does mean that there will be a sign, there's a coming forward, there's a stepping out of the dark and into the light, so that you have more clarity on what it is or what it isn't. So either way, you're going to have news on that. This card in particular, I kind of feel like it's interesting because what I'm looking at, it almost feels like it's, rather than actually being about a third party situation, like someone who's already committed to someone else or connected to someone else, I actually feel like that this is where representing, the divine masculine and divine feminine, but killing off, letting go of, getting rid of the old aspects of this divine masculine. So I feel like that when you give more, and I feel like this reading is particularly for the divine feminines or for people who resonate more with the divine feminine energy, that if your person is, your divine masculine person is in this kind of shadow kind of space, I do feel like that this is where you're not necessarily helping them in the sense as telling them what to do, but you're standing by supporting them energetically in how to get rid of these old aspects that are holding them back. So I feel like in the next 3-4 weeks, that's what's significantly happening, is this divine masculine is getting rid of aspects, fears, insecurities, beliefs that don't serve them. It's kind of like a cleansing, a rebirth, a death, and a coming back. You are a part of that. You are a part of that healing, but you're not necessarily doing the healing. The masculine is one actually in control of it. So you really can't do anything at this point in time. You've just got to kind of bide your time, focus on you, and bring your energy back to yourself. With future, so I kind of feel like this is, let me just ask, so give me some more time frame. I do feel like it is over the next 12 months, and that annoys me a bit when it's so general, because we're literally right at the start of the year. And I read something this morning and it said, you know, you will be in relationship within this year. And I was just like, well, that's kind of bullshit, isn't it? Because like we're literally January, so that's a whole freaking year of course I'm probably going to be, well, most likely going to be in relationship this year. It's a big bloody time frame to give, and here I am doing the same thing, but I'm going to try to shorten it. I feel like that this is sort of signifying with these shifts over the next 3-4 weeks, the coming months after that, you will have more freedom of movement, more opportunity to actually see progression. And so I feel like this is like, it's like a slow and steady. So you may not be cohabitating. It's kind of like through this shadow work that the divine masculine does, and getting rid of these old aspects that are holding him back, the fears and insecurities that he's not worthy of a love that like you can offer, or not worthy of a love that can stand the test of time, or that you know, it's possible for him to have something in that space. I feel like through moving through that over the next 3-4 weeks, what comes in is this energy of it's kind of like the dating scene, the words that I'm getting. It's kind of like we're coming in, you're starting to get to know each other again. There's a bit of kind of toing and froing. You're not throwing yourselves into a really big, deep relationship straight off. So it's like those 2, 3, 4, 5 months even, where you're starting to really get to know each other and spend time with each other. But without the pressure from society of what relationship is. So it won't be like Facebook official, that kind of thing. You'll just be quietly behind, well, the words that we're going to give me is quietly behind the sheets. That too. But you'll be quietly kind of just exploring each other, spending time with each other without the concern of what everyone else is going to think and say. And then I feel like as we move towards closer towards the end of the year, you'll be more in a space where you're ready to actually, you know, shout it from the rooftops. April may feel significant with regards to relationship and relationship space. I'm just going to ask, what connection, what relevance is April, May? So I'm going to use my deck. So these cards here are, what are they? The Magic Oracle. This is my very first ever deck. This deck that I've got in front of me. It is actually the very first deck I ever got when I was about 15, 16 and started playing around with tarot, so well over 30 years ago. And so, yeah, I love this deck because they give like a completely different clue. And these ones are my new deck that are coming out. So Wisdom from the Earth, it's just a prototype at the moment to play around with and kind of get the energy. But we just want some more information on the reverse Hangman. So give us some more information on the reverse Hangman. More information on the reverse Hangman. Okay, so there's some red flags to move through. There's definitely some hurdles, some obstacles in the way. They don't feel as significant as what they have been. I feel like these are kind of, like when I look at this card, the energy that it gives me is before they were really big obstacles and hurdles. You've gone through a lot already, and I feel like you're coming out the side and things are starting to get a bit easier. Will it happen really quickly? No, I don't feel like it will. I feel like there's forward movement, but it's slow and steady. And the other thing that comes in is what's important is for you to give yourself self-love, self-respect. Make sure that you're spending some time on you, for you. Super important, particularly when you're in this kind of dynamic where it's easy to get lost, and it's easy for the focus just to become about this connection and this relationship, and you lose all energy. What wanted to come out is you lose all respect for yourself. You lose energy for yourself for the things that you do. All you can think about is this connection and how it's not where you want it to be, etc., etc. But all that does is actually just keeps it stuck and stagnant and doesn't allow it to move forward. So make sure that you're focused on what it is that you want and how you want it to work out. I love this deck too, the Hidden Truth Oracle by All Things Intuitive. Let's just get a card from here. I've made a bit of a mess on my table, so it's harder to shuffle. in a different spot. So let's get a significant for the masculine. So the masculine's replaying the conversations over and over. So they've heard what you've said. They're not ignoring you. They're really trying to kind of come to terms with what it is that you said. So you may have been really rawly honest recently. So they're processing it. They're trying to work out what they're going to do, what their next move is. What's the energy of the divine feminine at the moment? Okay, I hope that you can forgive me one day. She's been really hard on herself. It's interesting because when I read that, I was like, why is she saying that to herself? Like, she doesn't have anything to be forgiven for. You know, maybe she feels a bit guilty about creating so much turmoil in the masculine. Like, it wasn't meant to be that way. She didn't expect it. And maybe it just kind of unfolded and the connection was a lot stronger than what she was expecting or what either of them was expecting, really. So I kind of feel like that she needs to do a bit of self-forgiveness for herself as well. Let's ask for what energy can we focus on? Cards are kind of all backwards now. What energy do we need to focus on? Just give me one card. And that's going to give me more than. I'm just going to flick them back into the right space. Okay. They're going to ask. All right, so changing the question. What question do you want to ask? These cards are really thin, so they're really hard to shuffle. They're almost impossible to shuffle in the same way as we shuffle the other ones. Okay, so all right, what energy? So we're going to get a star sign energy. What energy are we talking about? I'm going to go for those two. Okay, so Aries, so we're talking about a fire sign here. So make sure that, you know, particularly with fire signs, it's about ensuring that you remain sensitive to other people's energies and emotions. Give them a bit of space is super important. The waxing moon. So when we're going to a waxing moon phase, it's important to focus on your own personal goals. So maybe right at the moment, in actual fact, it's probably giving you that idea to bring in the energy of the waxing moon and to focus on yourself, focus on the things that you want to achieve at the moment rather than focusing on this relationship or this connection. So yeah, that's it. Hopefully that's helpful for you today. You enjoyed the reading, and yeah, let me know in the comments.